Welcome to Backstage Money, Real World Finance for Musicians. I'm your host, Jason K. Powers, and this is where music and money collide. Today, I am joined by Lexxi Garza-Hartless, powerhouse vocalist and pianist, originally from San Antonio, Texas, now in Nashville. She has toured nationally and internationally, lights up dueling piano stages, and is a multi-instrumentalist who will jump from bass to drums to keys in a single night, even. And she's the entertainment director with Pete's Dueling Piano Bar and co-owner of Sound City Entertainment with her husband, Jason Hartless. In recent years, Lexxi has also joined legendary rocker Ted Nugent on tour, appearing on stage during various shows in his U.S. tours, becoming the only female to perform live with Nugent himself. Lexxi, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for
Yeah,
having
I
me.
appreciate you coming on. This is an exciting time. We've been doing lots of recordings and I've really enjoyed meeting everybody and I've heard some of your story and I'm really excited to
Okay.
share that with everybody.
Yeah, I'm happy to be
So
here.
let's jump right in. Let's hear about, I always like to start with origin stories, we call it. You know, how did you get into music? You started at a pretty young age and kind of found your gift pretty early on, I think, right?
Yeah, I was 5, and it's kind of a really dorky story. So, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Little House on the Prairie. Like, that was my favorite show. I watched it all day, every day. And I don't really remember doing this. This is just a story that my parents told me later, but I had like a little Fisher Price piano, and they heard me figure out the theme song with no
Oh, wow.
reference in the exact key that it's in on the piano at 5. And they were like, that's not normal
Might be
child
onto
behavior.
something here.
Yeah. And so they put me in piano lessons, and I studied classical music for probably 10, 15 years after that. I didn't start singing until college. So that was kind of a late bloomer for me as far as singing goes. But yeah, so been in it for a
Yeah.
while.
So where did you kind of excel and did you think growing up in junior high and high school you were gonna be a performer? Or did you just love it? Or what were you thinking at that time?
Yeah, so I always kind of knew that being a performer is in my blood. It's kind of where I belong. I have a pretty big personality that was allowed to shine in that sort of an environment, and my parents were really supportive. I was homeschooled until I was
Okay.
17, so I was kind of able to have the flexibility to do the tours and do all the different kinds of bands and all the different projects and stuff. And so um, I always knew that that's what I was supposed to do. I just at the time, I knew how fickle the industry was, and I wasn't sure if it would ever
Mhm.
happen, because there's a lot of talented people out there that, it never really happens for. And it's very common. So I didn't know what the future had in store, but yeah, I'm glad I stuck with it, and
And here you
here we
are,
are.
right, right. Let's see, as we say, my
Yeah.
haven't we come a long way, you know? That's
Yes.
right. Well,
Yes.
so when did you start going on stage? When did you start performing in front of crowds and how did you get sort of from, I'm going to say, a prodigy musician child, right, to performing where you're at now? I mean, what was kind of that process?
Yeah, it was, and it's so funny looking back on it to say I'll be 28 on Friday, and it's crazy to say, I've been here doing this thing for
Yeah.
20 years. That it's crazy, and I'm really lucky. My first recital, with my first time playing in front of people, was a piano recital because I studied classical. We had like a sort of, all the students for this teacher would perform for this recital. I'm so nervous. I remember sitting down and I played my pieces like 10 times faster than they were
Uh,
supposed to go. I just was like, my brain just like completely quit. And I was like, let me just get through this as fast as possible. And then as I started to perform more, anywhere I could. My dad, he kind of helped me get exposure with a bunch of different bands, and he was always like, "Don't worry about the money, like getting your name out there, getting your face out there, your talents out there. That's what's important, and everything else is gonna come along naturally." And that's exactly what happened. By the time I was in college, I had been a part of leading worship teams and classical recitals and jazz bands and rock bands. And I'd kind of done all of this stuff, which was awesome moving into a more professional stage of my life so that I had all these sort of tools under my belt, as it were. So
Then what's your involvement with, so Take Me Now, you start doing the dueling piano thing, right? You have how did you get from that to Pete's Dueling Piano War? Right.
yeah. So long story short, so I went to college for classical music when I was 13. And it was fun. It was great. That's kind of where I realized though that I am a rocker
Yeah.
at heart. And I would like it would be a chore for me to learn these Beethoven sonatas when I really just wanted to be listening to Iron Maiden. And it sort of developed, down the road that I wanted to be a front person. I wanted to be as big of a personality as I could be on the stage. And my first job coming out of college was actually on Carnival cruise ships, and I was the solo piano bar entertainer right at
Wow.
21, like right out the gate. And it was awesome. It was fun. It was a lot of work. It was 6 nights a week, 4-hour show solo, which is a long time to be on stage
Yes,
by
sure.
yourself and entertaining, singing. When I got off the ship, I don't know how this happened to this day. Somebody from a company called Howl at the Moon found me, scouted me, and I sort of fell backwards into dueling pianos. I had no idea what
Mhm.
it was. And I spent about 5 years really honing that craft. And that's how I ended up at Pete's. Pete's is a very prestigious dueling piano brand. Like it's very hard to get your foot in the door there. And I was working for them in Texas just as a sub. And that's how I ended up landing the ED
Yeah,
role here in
yeah,
Nashville.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So for the listener who isn't privy to this, explain the dueling piano thing.
Yeah, dueling pianos is a very interesting concept. I think everyone would have a different answer
Yeah.
for this for sure. But to me, we have two pianists. They face each other, and we don't have a set list up there. We take song requests from the audience, so the audience can write down their favorite songs. They can write down what they're celebrating. If it's a birthday, they write down whatever they would like to pay attention to us to pay attention to on the stage. They bring it up to us and we play it, and it's very chaotic and
Yeah.
wonderful. There's definitely a comedic element as well. We bring people up on the stage and we make them feel special. We play games with the audience. We give away Jello shots. I mean, it's a whole night of shenanigans. It's not just like I'm gonna play a song and then my partner's gonna play a song and then I'm gonna play a song. It's very cohesive. It's very fun. I mean, we'll go from Janis Joplin to Cardi B like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know, so it's awesome. It's really really fun. I'm so happy to
yeah.
be a part of
We
it for
we had a
sure.
really great one in Denver. We used to go do for a long time, and you can't walk out of there not smiling. I mean, it's always just a lot of
Yeah,
fun, I think. I think. Everybody needs to
yeah, and
try
I
it
think
before you
people,
knock it, right? Everybody needs to go check it out, and, I think it's great fun. I think it's
yeah,
great fun.
and it's every club that you walk into does it differently. Like Howl is different than Pete, which is different than Sluggers in Chicago, which is different than New York, and Vegas. It's such a broad concept, and it really allows the entertainer to shine because the way that I do the show is different than somebody else
Mhm.
on my team. And it's so awesome to have all these personalities and all this talent to create this one big cohesive ball of
Yeah,
chaotic
right?
energy.
Right?
you know and it's so much fun. It really feels like I get paid to throw a
Yeah.
party four
Yeah.
nights a week, and then I walk home, and it's
Mhm.
just it's
But
great.
there's some entertainment aspect to this where it's really on you guys in a way to kind of lead the entertainment,
Mhm.
and keep the momentum going and keep the fun going and right?
Yeah. Yeah, I always tell people, to treat the show with brand new doors when they come in. They have no idea, they're like, how do I do this gig? I'm like, treat the show like this is a house party and the audience are your guests. And at the end of the night, you want this table from New York to be best friends with this table from
Yeah.
Philadelphia. all across the bar, you know? And that's really, it's so true. Is what we're trying to do is unite people through music, and we're trying to help people forget about their
Mhm.
lives for a night, and just come in and have fun and celebrate their birthdays and celebrate their bachelorette parties and just come in and have
Yeah,
a good time.
that's great. That's great. And we've talked about that before on other shows about just for the music entertainer, your that is an important thing to keep in mind. I think people are going to these things to kind of get away from it, so to speak, you know,
Yeah,
and just
100%.
disconnect and have a grand time.
Even we as the entertainers show up
Yeah,
wanting to forget about stuff in our life. It's
that's
like
great.
it's just as much benefit for us as
Yeah,
it is for them. So it's definitely a privilege to be in that
that's
position for
fun.
sure.
That's fun. Well, and so you're married, and
Yeah,
you do you get to perform with your husband much?
I
Do
do.
so I want to let's pause that thought for a second and back up a little bit. You have a pretty interesting how I met my husband story, I think, and
I
why don't
do.
you tell us who your husband is and then how you guys met?
Yeah, so my husband is Jason Harless, who will soon appear on this
Mhm.
show as
Yes.
well. He and I'll leave most of his intro for him when he comes on here, but he drums full time for Ted Nugent, has for the last 10 years. And I met Jason when I showed up on the Ted Nugent 22 Detroit Muscle Tour. And when I showed up, everybody was running around. They're getting ready for the show. They're still setting up. And I showed up and I asked our tour manager, who at the time was Ted Ambarellas. He's tour managed for huge acts like John Bon Jovi he's with for years. And I was like, hey, Ted, like, where can I stand where I'm not in the way of all this stuff? Because everyone's like going crazy. He's like, oh, you can wait in there. And he points off to this little room on the side in the back. And I'm like, all right. And I walk in there, and there's Jason on his little drum pad, and he's warming up. He looks up and he's like, what is this girl doing in my
Yeah.
room? And come to find out later, that was Jason's dressing room, and no one was supposed to be in there. And the tour manager had sent me in there trying to set us up, which
Yeah, which
worked,
worked. That's funny.
which worked. When Jason like did not want to talk to me, he was so shy, like he had no idea
Mhm.
what to do. He was just like not making eye contact. And I was like, this is not going to be awkward. Like, this man is going to talk to me whether he
Oh,
wants
funny.
to or not. And so that's kind of how all that started. And that's how we met. And then I went out on stage with him later. And then we became best friends. And here we
And there
are.
you
We just celebrated our 1 year wedding anniversary
oh, that's
last
great.
week. So far,
That's
so good.
great. That's great. Well, so you guys now how did you get hooked up with Ted's tour and in the first place?
Yeah. So I got called to open for him really last minute, like 5 days before the show. He was performing in Waco, Texas. And their opening band had lost their lead singer. And I got called in. It was a set of like Zeppelin and like just
Mhm.
cover stuff. And it was one of those like domino effect things. It was crazy that Ted and Shemaine just happened to be there early and they heard the whole set. And I get a call from an unknown number on my phone the next day. I almost didn't answer it. And it was Ted. And he was like, would you wanna come out and sing some songs on my tour this year? And I was like, let
Yeah.
me think about it,
Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how that happened. It started out with just the Texas chapter of the tour because that's where I live, so I was able to make it out to all those, and then it kind of became more than that. And then this year I finally got to do the Freedom Hill Amphitheater in Michigan, which was a bucket list for me because that's where both Ted and Jason are from.
Very
So that was
nice. Very
awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
And so, okay, let's talk a little bit about the touring session work and then also your work at Pete's and
Yeah.
with Sound City Entertainment, which we'll talk about. Like, how are you juggling all of this? Or are you, I guess? We're under the
Um,
assumption you're juggling it, right?
yeah. Well, Jason and I I'm really lucky to have him because everything that I'm not good at, he's good at, and everything that he's not good at, I'm good at. And so we kind of tag team all of these things, like I just finished 4 nights back to back at Pete's and I had no energy to do anything else. And so he was the one that was handling like the accounting for our company and handling all the stuff that I couldn't get to. And then there's some weeks when he's on the road where I'm the one that does that. So it's really, I don't know if I could do it without him. I don't think there's any way
Yeah.
that I could pull off that kind of
Yeah.
responsibility and schedule without cloning myself at
Yeah.
least. But yeah, I really make my mental health a priority, and I've got severe ADHD, so making lists is like my saving
Yeah.
grace
Yeah.
to make sure I get to everything. But yeah, I like being busy. I like having all these things going on at
Mhm.
once, and so it's good. It's really great.
What's your favorite part of the dueling piano format? And in that area of entertainment, what's something musicians can maybe learn from that to grow and build from or get exposure, or what's that look like?
Yeah, I think to do dueling pianos, it's way harder than it looks, and I say that because you have to be pretty fluid on all of the instruments and be able to change around at a
Mhm.
moment's notice. And I think, at the end of the day, we play other people's music
Sure.
for
Sure.
a living. And I think as long as we don't lose sight of what we're trying to do, which is make the audience the star, like it's about the audience, it's about them coming in and giving us their business and giving us their time and us being respectful of that and us being grateful for that. And I think you know, staying humble is really, really important and reminding yourself, like, hey, there's a lot of talented people out there, and I'm the one that's getting to do this. I'm the one that gets to be
Yeah.
on the stage. I'm the one that has the privilege to be a facilitator of this night and this person's life right now. And I think as long as it always is centered that it's not always about you.
Yeah.
You and your abilities and it's you want to create a party and create an environment, and I think as long as you don't lose sight of that, everything else just kind of comes along. I think staying humble is so, so important. And I know I live in like one of the big three cities.
Mhm.
There's LA, Nashville, and there's New York, and there's Amigos out here for
Sure.
sure.
Sure. But it seems to be a recurring
And
theme,
I
though.
think
In other people we've
yeah,
talked to, there is that recurring theme of humility, and
yeah,
your fans are the reason you're up there still. You know, and
yeah.
even for the guys that have been the longer you're at it, it seems like the more you appreciate that. I think, but
Yeah, yeah, and I think the industry, like, it's so tough, and it always has been, and it's always been competitive, and it's always been, dog eat dog, and sometimes, and I think just staying above that and staying above, you know, getting into the fray and getting into the mix and just staying
Mhm.
grateful. I'm really, really lucky to be where I'm at right now. Where people are really hurting for work, and there's the whole component of AI, which we can
Yeah,
probably talk
we have a
about
whole nother show on that.
extensively later. Yeah, like it's I'm so grateful to be one of the few people that has this consistent work and this consistent opportunity, and that will not be
Mhm.
lost on.
There's this humility aspect, and then there's the entertainment aspect, right? You got to have a certain personality to draw the crowd
I was
and to draw
yeah,
them out and entertain, whether it's dueling pianos or whether it's on stage in front of thousands. And there's
hmm
that aspect of you've got to be on your game when you're on stage,
yep,
and some of that attributes to keeping up on your mental health. We've had these conversations with people,
yeah,
making sure your mental health is in check when you can, and so you can get up there and be on top of your game. And you also have a perspective, which is also a common theme, on kind of physical health, right? Too.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, and you really You really have to take it seriously. This is something that Jason and I, my husband, we're just talking about the other day. It's like, he just turned 30 last year and I'll be 30 coming up here soon. And it's like, we really want to give ourselves the best
Mhm.
chance at being in this industry for as long as we possibly can. And that really means that you have to live like an athlete, you know, and there's no other way around it because it just starts
Yeah.
declining.
Yes. I know.
It just gets harder and harder. So I think I'm a big believer in implementing those healthy habits early on and creating a lifestyle out of it is really important for
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
do.
So what are your maybe non-negotiables during heavy week shows, or what's maybe overrated?
Yeah, I drink a gallon of water every
Okay.
day, no matter what. I'm a big hot yoga fan. I deal with a lot of anxiety in my life, and so I kind of carry my tension in my
Mhm.
body. And when I'm like really anxious, I'll literally just kind of sit like this, which creates all these issues like, in my neck,
Mhm.
and which is horrible for singing. Yoga, I'll go probably 4 or 5 times a week, and it really helps just to keep me like limber and stretched out, which is really important for not just singing but piano playing
Mhm.
too, and eating healthy. I've got celiac disease, so I can't eat bread or pasta or anything.
Terrible.
So that's kind of helpful that I'm forced to be healthy, but eating healthy is really, really important
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. All right. Sound City Entertainment.
Yeah.
How did this get started? What is Sound City Entertainment? How'd you guys get it started?
Yeah, Sound City Entertainment is the company that Jason and I co-own, and we provide various entertainment to clients all across the world. And that could be doing panels, or it could be an acoustic guitar player, it could be a juggler,
Yeah.
it could be whatever the client needs. And we provide those services to different clients. So, and it got started because we had this opportunity with Park West Art Galleries. They were looking for entertainment, and they'll have 70 events across the US throughout the year, and they wanted dueling pianos as well as some other things. We just brought Eric Martin in a couple of weeks ago to do one of the events for Park West, and Jason was like, "Hey, we should start a company as opposed to asking friends to fill these
Mhm.
gigs." And I was like, "That's out of my element."
Yeah.
Like, I had thought about doing my own company before, but I just didn't want to deal with like the business side of it. I didn't feel equipped. I didn't feel like I could handle that well, which is where Jason comes in because Jason graduated from Berkeley with a music business
Okay,
degree.
good. There you
So
go.
our two forces kind of collided, and we were like, "Hey, let's do this company and see what we can
Yeah.
make out of it."
Yeah.
So
So that's been for how long now?
we started that. I want to say in the beginning of
Okay.
2024.
Okay. And so far so good?
So brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far so great.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. We're really grateful to be able to provide
Mhm.
those services
Mhm.
for people. And we often go out on our own gigs, which is where we get to play together, and it's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So from the musician standpoint, how can they get connected with, you know, companies like yourself, and what's one way, maybe some advice you would give to artists who are trying to get themselves out there, get connected in every way possible, and get that exposure, get things booked. What advice can you give on that side?
Yeah, I think know your brand. I think if you come in with a very developed, solid brand um, and product, then that's really important so that you can be like, hey, this is what I can offer. You know, I think really working hard on your skills and not worrying about money or not worrying about making it to the big stage, not worrying about fame, just sticking with your course and sticking with your guns, and don't ever
Mhm.
quit. Don't ever let anybody take your dream away, because these things take time.
Yeah.
These things take time. And, even Jason and I, we've been at this for years and years and years. And, I only went out with Nugent in 22, and I'd been in the industry for like 20 years at that point. So things, they take time. And I would say just try not to be discouraged, when things don't happen as fast as you think they should or as well as you think they should. Just, remember your passion, remember your
Mhm.
goals. And I think everything else will happen along the way.
I love the don't ever quit. That's the thing that's hard, I think, for artists is like the long road to,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
most, for the average person at least. It's that long road, and you got to really, as I would say, think long range. You have to
Yeah.
keep looking down the road. What are you working towards? And
Right.
work in that direction,
100%.
and don't give up. I love it. And
Yeah. And a lot of people do, which is unfortunate. It's sorry, I'm gonna cut you off.
go ahead, go ahead, go.
um, you know, Jason and I, I'd be lying to you if I said that I never thought about quitting
Mhm.
before. I mean, that's definitely crossed mine and my husband's minds many times. Many times. But there's this thing inside both of us that like every time we've tried to quit, we end up coming right back to it because it's not an option for us. There's something in us that prevents us from leaving what we do. And yeah, we'll go on a sabbatical. Yeah, we'll take a hiatus. Yeah, we'll take a break or whatever. But it's just not possible for us to not do
Yeah.
what we do. We're
It,
in it.
well, it's part of you. It's like the music side through and through. You know, in
Yeah,
your life, and that's
100%.
like, I guess, like losing an appendage. To quit, that kind of thing. You're like,
Yeah,
I'm not quite ready to lose my arm, so you get right back into it. Not
exactly.
quite ready for that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk money for a minute. Now, from your vantage point, what's a reliable way you've earned income through music across seasons, and maybe one lever you're leaning into this year even?
Yeah. Well, I'm really, really lucky that dueling pianos has always been there for me. I tell people it's my 9 to 5. Um, and it's so awesome because I can go out with Ted or I can go out with whoever and I come back and dueling
Mhm,
pianos is still there
mhm.
for me. And I know many, many musicians are not in that situation. And so, I'm really grateful to have that always there for me. I know that a lot of musicians, when they're off the road, they'll, session work is big here and Broadway, like they'll pick up shifts on Broadway, which is really unfortunate because of how little Broadway pays these days. It's really terrible to have all these talented people getting paid,
Yeah,
$40 for a
yeah.
4 hour show is really insane. I Jason is always like, man, you're in the 1% that has consistent work. He's like, nobody has consistent work. And I'm so grateful to be there, but at the same time, like my heart goes out to all of my friends that are not in the
Mhm.
same boat, and it's really heartbreaking to see these people with all of this talent that are struggling, and with this technology now and the way, the world is, it's just getting worse
Right,
every day. Hopefully it'll balance out and turn itself back around. But right now it's
right,
hard,
right.
you know?
So, what's some of the best financial advice or career advice another musician or mentor has given you?
Always have a contingency
Okay,
plan.
yeah, love it.
Have a backup plan. I don't mean that like, make sure you have a degree in engineering,
Yeah.
which that's what you want to do, go for it. Like by all means. I more mean, have a plan for the dry
Mhm,
season, and have a plan for when things aren't going exactly how you expected them to go. I injured my voice in 2023 and I was touring and I got COVID that turned into double
oh, man.
pneumonia. And I coughed so hard, my right vocal cord started bleeding,
Gosh.
which sucked. Which sucked. And I had to take 8 weeks off. So that was 2 months of no income. And I didn't really have a safety net or a contingency plan. So I just kind of sucked it up.
Mhm,
Really like got my butt kicked on bills because I didn't have, any sort of plans. I just didn't think that was going to
mhm,
happen to me. But it really opened my eyes. And I think the most important thing I could say on that is make sure you have a
mhm,
safety net.
mhm.
whether it's financially or otherwise, because I mean, I could fall down my stairs out of the studio coming down from this
Right.
conversation and break my hand.
Right. Right.
It's such a fickle thing that we do. And so I think being prepared, if God forbid something were to happen and you couldn't perform for a
Mhm.
while, or you ran into some financial issues, to have that
Yep.
there for
Yep.
you.
Yeah, there's a pretty common theme throughout in the music industry where the planning ahead thing is trouble. Let's call it. It spells trouble for people because I the industry is built on almost a struggle till you make it. Struggle, 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 struggle. And you're that literal starving artist at times trying to make it,
Yeah.
and you want to build, and so you go, okay, well, we're gonna penny pinch, we're gonna penny pinch until we have enough, and I get that mindset, and that's a very common theme. But every single musician I talk to, this is a conversation. How can we
Yeah.
how can we buffer that somehow? Or I wish I would have focused more on buffering that
Yeah.
ahead of time rather than waiting until the time is now when I really need the money and I don't have it. And
Yeah.
yeah, and we see it all
100%.
the time. You see it, and God bless them all. I mean, when there's the GoFundMe pops up, incident happens, and the GoFundMe pops up,
Yeah.
and the fans want to jump in and help, and that's great. But it's really a conversation, and that's one of the reasons I do what I do in helping musicians is like let's try to get away from that scramble mode, and try to get away from the I am in so much trouble tomorrow if I get injured,
Yeah.
you know, really, it's a scary place to be.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. And that's why I think it's important. And every musician agrees that's out there making it, They're like it's so important
Yeah.
to be finding that buffer for you, to finding that safety net, finding a way to I'll say warehouse your money a little bit along the way.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think and you won't find a single successful musician who didn't struggle to
Yeah.
get there. Even the people that had the funding to start and had all the right stuff, it's hard
Mhm.
work. It's hard work for everybody. And I think that if you are out there and you are getting paid in any capacity, whether it's $40 at Tootsie's downtown, or whether it's $400,000 because you're touring with Post Malone or whatever, if you're doing that, if you're getting paid to play music, you've already made it.
Yeah.
And I think people should stop being so hard on
Mhm.
themselves, and give themselves. And I'm like the biggest person that is really hard on myself, and it's never enough. It's never enough. And sometimes I forget to look back and see what I've come from and how much I've accomplished in my life and how much I hope to continue to accomplish. And I think there's a beauty in giving yourself that
Yeah.
credit, and not comparing yourself to other people. It's just because your friend over here is touring with Steely Dan or
Yeah.
whoever. It doesn't make what you're doing any less
Yeah, sure.
important.
Sure,
You
sure.
know?
Well, it's for everybody. I think we are our own worst critic in many
Yeah.
ways,
Oh yeah.
and that's it.
Yes. I'm the queen of
That's
critics.
it. That's it. So you and I met through this same idea of how do you build a system in a place that builds a buffer for you that you can access along the way and is your safety net that is something you can fall back on, but is also something you can use along the way too. And that's, you met someone a while back that taught you about this and they introduced us and here we are, having this conversation. And I think that's great. And I was going to have you talk about that for a second about, one of the main things I teach musicians is this vehicle, what we call the infinite banking concept. And it is
Mhm.
this the concept is about how do we put our money into places that we control, into something that we have control over, versus constantly putting our money into something else that we have no control over. Like, for example, putting our money in the stock market, for example, we don't have any control. The markets control it.
Right.
Being controlled by debt, the bank, the debt instrument is what controls us once we've gotten out of
Mhm.
control with that debt. Or we're constantly leveraging, in the music space. Maybe it's labels. I'm not going to camp there. Maybe it's getting over leveraged on, with labels, and now you don't have any control.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so how can you build up a system? What vehicles allow you to build something up that you have control over that money, and
Yeah.
enter the infinite banking concept, and that's what it's about. And of course, the vehicle that we show people how to do this is properly structured dividend paying whole life insurance from a mutual carrier. I say that 10 times fast. But
Yeah.
but it's a mouthful, but I'm not gonna get into it for this show, but it's a mouthful because it's very particular. And for the listener,
Mhm.
you heard a few words there and you're like, "Oh gosh, that sounds boring." I'm curious, when you first heard about this, what was your first impressions? And then your understanding of it now, how do you see that being impactful in your own life, in your own career?
Yeah, well, so when I first heard about it, um, I was a part of like a video class. And if I'm being honest with you, I was like so confused
Yeah.
on how it worked. I was like, what do you mean? I put money in and then it grows by itself and there's no tax, but how do I, like it was not clear to me
Mhm.
at first. And so I really spent time trying to understand it. And I decided to open my own policy, um, because I got tired of trying to go spend money that is mine and being told, oh, you can only, spend $3,000 as your daily limit. It's like, I
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Um, and it was very appealing to me to have a concept that would work that way, that would be there for me if I were to injure myself again, or if, maybe not even like worst case scenario, if I wanted to buy a house or buy a car, and have it controlled by me 110%. That was really, really appealing to me to be able to have the control of my own money, since that's not really something that I had experienced before. And so now I want to say I'm a year in and I'm funding it still, and it's great. It's growing. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to
Mhm.
do. And I think because I have that cushion, I'm more in control of the choices that I make. I don't have to take out loans anymore if I don't want to. I don't have to rely on institutions or other people for money. I have my own
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, I think that's what's important for musicians is understanding, like in this example, this vehicle would be great to buffer when you have this vocal injury and you're out for 8 weeks. And yeah, you have this
Yeah.
now emergency fund it's different than a savings account because
Yeah.
you can access this quote emergency fund, but that emergency fund is actually still growing as if the money never
Mhm.
left. And then you could backfill that
Right.
emergency fund at your own pace down the road once you've gotten
Yeah.
past it. And while you're not using it, it's there to be used on other things. If you need some money for, right, touring or
Oh, yeah.
equipment for
Mhm.
these kinds of things.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I'm about to have to make a really big purchase because my keyboard is super old. I've been playing on it since high school and it like straight up doesn't work anymore. And I really want to get a Yamaha Montage and they cost
Mm,
$5,000. And I there's no way I would be able to just do that in my normal life. I couldn't just go and buy this keyboard right now if I didn't have this banking policy. But now that I have this banking policy, I don't have to take things out on a loan. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. I can pull from my own bank, my own banking concept, which is me. I'm in control. And I can go buy this Yamaha tomorrow with no strings attached and pay myself back on my
yeah,
own terms.
yeah. But it's that idea of investing in yourself along the way. It's that
Yeah.
idea of just, hey, every penny I earn, commit to pushing some of it, a small percentage of it, through this kind of
Yeah.
vehicle because of all the advantages.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a I call it a both and strategy. We're not, a lot of people want to see this as just a glorified savings account. Okay, well,
Right.
I want to put money into this. I need to save money because we have this perception. We think linearly, and we we want to put money into a savings account, and then when we
Mhm.
are ready to buy whatever, we then spend that money, and that savings account goes to zero, and then we start saving again. And I'm obviously biased, but I love this type of vehicle because even though we're going to access that money, we were putting the money into some small growth vehicle, not an investment product, but it's growing along the way. And then we're accessing it, and then it can still grow, even though we've accessed it.
Mhm.
And then we can put the money back at our own pace. Because what was your alternative? You were going to go
Yeah.
finance it. You're going to go finance a $5,000 keyboard, and then you have another payment.
Yep.
Or you're going to save up for it. And so that money's still coming out of your pocket until you have enough. So either way, that money's coming out of your pocket,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think, you know, to be able to have the control is everything. And there's so many avenues and so many situations where musicians can get taken
Mhm.
advantage of when it comes to this. Tours are expensive, albums are expensive. And, and my husband and I have very different opinions on this, but I'm 100% in favor of the DIY musician, because I've seen a lot of really talented artists, a lot of really, really good people be taken advantage of by these record labels because they don't know what they're signing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like the example in your book is perfect. The one about, you know, we'll give you the $60,000 loan, but you have to, recoup,
Mhm.
X amount of dollars. And that's $500,000 worth of music that you got to sell, and that's just not, unless you're one of the billion people that is an overnight sensation, which is really
Yeah.
rare.
Right.
Not that it can't happen, but it's rare, then you're stuck. And not only do you not have rights to your stuff, now you've got this big IOU as well,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
So it's complicated and it can get really tricky, especially for young new artists, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes losing sight of, as we talked about earlier, the thinking long range,
Mhm.
kind of lose sight of that. And same with this type of vehicle, you really need to think long range. What's it going to do for you over time?
Right.
Not tomorrow, but over time.
Yeah. Long
You know?
term. Long
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'm definitely grateful for it. I know how I don't want to feel ever again, and that's how I felt when I injured myself, where I had no control and I didn't even know if I was going to get to sing again. And I didn't know what was going to be returned to me, and I was like, "Crap! Like I have nothing. Like I have no plan
Mhm.
B." And I know that I don't want to feel like that again, and so I'm really happy that I have this avenue behind me, this concept that I can contribute to, and that I know is going to be there for me when I need it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So let's start landing the plane, and I want you to tell the listeners a little bit about, we talked about Sound City Entertainment a few minutes ago, and just what you guys do there and how they can connect with you that way. And any closing advice, financial advice for musicians that you have, we're all ears right now. The floor is yours,
Yeah.
as we say.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, Sound City Entertainment is all about providing the top quality talent and musicians and entertainers to our clients. And we have various needs at various times for various things coming up all the time. And we're always looking to expand our roster of talented people. And so if people are interested in becoming a part of that, they can reach out to myself or on business cards and stuff like that. But probably the fastest is through my Instagram. And where Jason and I are very approachable and reachable through that. And so we would love to connect with musicians and talent and stuff like that. So and what was your other question? Sorry. Oh, advice. That was the other part. Just keep doing what you're doing and don't ever give up and don't get discouraged. I mean, it's tough out here, but when you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing and you're working hard, the stuff it'll find you. It'll find you in
Mhm.
its own time. And something that God said to me when I was young is that what's meant for you will find you. You won't be able to get away from it. And I think that's so powerful and so important. And I know it's cliche to be like, oh yeah, just work hard, but it's so true. And I think if you stay humble and take the time to really, really get good at what you do, whether it's singing or drumming or playing bass or painting, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, do everything in your power to get as good as you possibly can at it. And everything else is going to find you.
That's great. All right. Every show we wrap up with what we call final riffs.
Yeah.
Basically short questions, quick answers, snapshots to take us home. So the first thing that comes to mind, and you can always say pass if you want to pass. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Who was your biggest musical influence growing up?
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. What band or artist will you never get tired of listening to?
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden. That's so funny. Good. All right. If you could share the stage with anyone, who would it be
Well, Iron Maiden, but also Prince.
besides Iron Maiden?
I'm a huge, huge Prince fan. I would have loved to share the stage with him.
Yeah. Most embarrassing gig or performance fail?
It's got to be
Everybody's
the
got one.
time that I was touring when I was in high school and I went to go do a solo and my keyboard stand completely broke and my whole rig fell onto the ground.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh
It was
my
not my
goodness.
favorite moment.
One city or venue you will never forget playing in.
Freedom Hill Amphitheater in Detroit, Michigan. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, if you were not doing music, which we can't imagine, what would you be doing?
I would probably be a personal trainer or something in
Think so?
fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. All right. What is a non-music hobby or passion of yours?
I love hot yoga so much. I would do it every day
Yeah.
if my muscles allowed.
All right. Coffee, tea, or something stronger?
Tea and something stronger. Tea and tequila.
Tea and something
Few
stronger.
teas.
There you go. There you go. Any pets and what are their names?
I have a dog. He's a blue heeler. He's 7 years old. His name is Prince.
Prince the dog.
Yeah, Prince the dog.
That's great.
He's a pain in the butt.
Very cool. All right. All right. All right, Lexi, that was fun. I appreciate how open you were about your journey and launching the business with Jason and taking care of the body and what the 2023 injury taught you. You know, we're going to be putting links for our listeners. We'll be putting links to Pete's and Sound City Entertainment and the Instagram handles
Yeah.
to reach out to Lexi and Jason. So go follow, book a night out, go check them out, go to Pete's.
Yes,
And
please come treat
keep
me.
up, yeah, keep up with the shows. So for everyone listening, if this got you thinking about the money behind the music, grab my free ebook, A Musician's Guide to Infinite Banking. It's at 1024wealth.com/music. It shows how to keep money accessible, keep growth compounding, smooth the feast or famine times, potentially self-fund tours, releases, gear on your own timeline. And when you're ready to talk about it, book a call with me. Let's talk through it. No strings attached. I want to tell you more. I love sharing this with musicians. So reach out. Meanwhile, subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Share this with one musician who needs to hear it. And I will see you guys next time. Lexi, thank you again.
Thanks for having me, Jason. I appreciate it.
All right. Until then, keep your money working and your music